Edge of the Abyss by Nullabite. Chapter 1. The Caverns. Summer had fallen away, and autumn had begun to take root in the small town of Myrefall. The air was cool and crisp and sweet, the sky filled with the hues of soft blues and grays. The trees had just begun to turn as the squirrels scurried to create their cache of food for the upcoming winter. The street lights had just begun to spark to life as the sun slowly set over the horizon and its rays of light glimmered in the oncoming darkness. But everything always looks good on the surface, and Myrefall was no exception. Beneath the surface of the earth, a storm had begun to brew that the likes of Myrefall would never see. The air was musty, and looming cavern walls seemed to close in around our small group as we navigated through the caves beneath the town. Sounds of dripping water stirred in the depths of the darkness as we moved forward silently. "Do you think they know where we went?" Skylar whispered as her eyes scanned the jagged walls as if expecting something to suddenly join us in the shrouded darkness. "No, I think we lost them," I tried to assure her, but even my eyes nervously glanced around the space around us, seemingly smaller. "How can you be so sure?" she snapped back, her voice barely above a whisper, but it came out as sharp as a dagger. "They're not following us," Amara spoke, emphasizing each word with a low voice, a slight hint of anger present. "They could be watching us," she adamantly continued. "You're so paranoid, Skylar." I rolled my eyes and continued to scour one side of the wall with my hand. "Didn't you see what I saw?" Skylar stopped in her tracks, staring at me in what I assumed was complete disbelief. "Sure was dark in here." "Of course I did. I'm not blind," I hissed. I could feel my temper rising the more we spoke. "Then how can you not be paranoid, Diva?" she nearly shouted, throwing her arms out. "Shut up!" Toril hissed as he turned and glared at us. We realized then that perhaps we hadn't really been whispering anymore. "If they are down here, you're gonna give us away." Like scolded children, we shrank back. "Sorry," we quietly whispered in unison, and silence fell over our wondering party once more. Toril turned his head back to the darkness in front of him. It seemed to stretch on for miles. Turn after turn, dead end after dead end. I began to wonder if we would ever find a way out. "What's that up there?" a voice quietly questioned from behind Toril. Light flickered around one of the turnoffs ahead of us. "A way out?" Toril's eyes were fixed on the lightened doorway as his brother, Tobolt, pushed past him and made his way forward. "Only one way to find out." "This is a bad idea," whispered another girl just behind the twins. "Well, going back the other way would lead us to death for sure. Have any better ideas, Alethea?" Toril whispered back to her as Tobolt continued ahead of us. Silence crept from her direction, and he took it as her answer. Slowly we all continued to move forward, towards the light. A stillness spread throughout our group once we reached the lightened doorway. Tobolt pressed against the wall and slowly moved his head to peer around the corner. Through the silence, a soft song began to creep. My head perked up slowly as I listened. It was beautiful, sad, and enchanting. "Do you hear that?" I whispered to Alethea, as I turned my head to try and get a bearing on where the music was coming from. Alethea looked back at me with a raised brow. "Hear what?" she asked, only to see me staring off behind us. "What did you hear, Diva?" "Was it one of the creatures?" Alethea shivered as she felt a chill run up her spine, fear clearly trying to take its hold on her. "No, it's music." My eyes moved over the darkness, seeking out the source of the melody. A sigh escaped Alethea's lips as she turned away from me, relaxing only slightly. "You're hearing things." I followed suit, thinking she was probably right, and turned my attention back to my friends. "Yeah, maybe you're right," I whispered, though I knew better. I tried to focus and forget the strange music, but it seemed to permeate my mind. I had only moved a few feet before I heard it again. I found myself gazing at an opening in the wall opposite of us, and before I knew it, I had passed the stone archway. I carefully made my way through the twists and turns as I searched for the captivating sound. It seemed to draw nearer as I moved, and before long I found myself moving down a dark tunnel. I'm sure it was coming from this way. I knew it was dangerous, looking for mysterious music that seemed to come from nowhere, especially after being chased in the caverns by those things. But I couldn't stop myself. It was as if I was being drawn down there by some mythical power. The more I moved down the tunnel, the louder the music got until, finally, I had emerged into a room. The ceiling was high, and a soft glow lit up the rocky circular room. Plants scattered about the area, with luminescent flowers attached to the emerald vines and stalks. A single pond sat in the center of the room, water glistening in the soft glow. The music echoed off the walls as my phlox-hued eyes gazed about, taking in all of the underground paradise. I was in awe that something so beautiful could exist in such a remote and hidden place. I was so lost in the beauty of this discovery that I had completely forgotten about the music for a moment. Suddenly, snapping my attention back to reality, I ventured further into the large room. It was only then that I noticed the man. Tall, dark-haired, and dressed in a black suit, the man was standing by the crystal pond with his back to me. There was something about him that captivated me, though I still had not even seen his face. As if he had been reading my thoughts, he turned and laid his piercing sapphire eyes upon me. The music seemed to be coming from him, yet his mouth did not move. Slowly he began to step towards me. Fear rose within me, yet I could not move. I didn't want to. Something drew me to him, hindering me from moving away. As he drew closer, I caught his scent on the cool breeze, a breeze which had seemed out of place in this enclosed cavernous room. Baby powder. That was the scent, and I found it very enticing.